Hey everyone, I hope you had a good weekend or are in the middle of a good and productive week. We are back to our second session, which is about your basic borders and prepping your fabric and getting your fabric ready so that you can begin to drape your basic borders. Now, as you know, in any kind of PMGC work, we need to cut a piece of fabric which is inadequate to cover the area that you want to drape on. Remember that when we measure how much fabric we need to cut, we have to keep in account that our fabric is curving a little bit, right? It's not a flat surface. So the more curvature there is in a fabric, the more fabric will be used. So what we try to do in the basic borders front is find the highest point and measure maximum amount of length that we will require, and we also try to find the broadest point. So we measure the maximum width that is required. Now, a lot of you will be working on half size dress forms, so maybe your measurements will not be the same as mine, but at the same time I want you to try and just for now understand how I take measurements, and then you can always go back and try it on your own dress form regardless of size. So the technique I'm teaching you basically enables you to drape on any size dress form by figuring out the measurements for that dress form. So the first thing I'm going to do is figure out the length, how much length of fabric I need. So I'm just going to stop talking for 2 minutes or actually 20 seconds, and you're going to figure out, or I want you to brainstorm as a class to say where should I take the measurement from to get the maximum length. Should it be from here or should I be taking it from here? I'm going to pause for a minute, think about it. Okay, so I lied, it's not 20 seconds, it's actually 5. But I'm hoping that all of you have come to the consensus that it is this point which is the highest, right? You always measure straight and you measure over the bust, because the bust is where you need maximum utilization of fabric. So we don't go like this, we keep the tape absolutely straight down the princess line, and we come to a nice measurement of 17 inches. So I'm just going to jot this down for you. Remember, if you're working on half scale, then your measurement might differ. For now, our length is 17 inches, and we're going to now figure out the breadth. So again, by default, the breadth, or the, we start measuring from center front, and just to satisfy yourself, or to make sure that you've got the measurements right, you can kind of glide your tape around the dress form from center front. So for example, here I've got till 6.5 inches. If I measure till here, I've got 8.5 inches. If I measure over the bust, which I remember I said has the maximum curvature, then I get 9.5 inches. And if I take it a little bit lower, it comes to 7. So obviously the winner is 9.5 inches. That means the broadest part of fabric we will need is 9.5 inches. Now, I've been draping for years and years, and golden rule of thumb that I always use is I always cut at least 4 to 5 inches extra fabric. Reason being, if I make a mistake, or mid draping I decide, hey, let me try this, I don't want that I don't have enough fabric, because I was too stingy to cut that extra 1 or 2 inches, that I can't experiment, and that I lose an idea or lose an opportunity because I did not cut enough fabric. So rule of thumb is just add whatever measurements you get to length and breadth, just throw another 5 inches on top of that. So my ultimate length becomes 22 inches, and my ultimate breadth becomes 14.5 inches. Is that right? Yes, that's right. So basically our aim today is to cut a rectangle of fabric, and I can't draw straight lines, so I'm going to use my ruler. I hope this is visible to all of you. There you go. So my aim today is to cut a rectangle of fabric for the basic borders, the length of which is 22 inches and the breadth of which is 14.5 inches. You can cut 15, you can cut 16, it's really okay. Don't sweat it. Now, uh, cut is a misnomer. Actually, with muslin and with draping, we don't cut the fabric, we actually tear the fabric. Why do we tear the fabric? Because we want the fabric to tear on grain. We would have had in the class prior a discussion, a session on grain lines and their importance, or perhaps it will follow this class, then it will follow in the next class. But you all understand the importance of grain lines. So it is very important to make sure that your fabric falls on the right grain. So I'm just going to pause for a second over here and shift my camera down to the working space, which is my muslin. Alrighty. So here is my muslin on my table, and if you can see here, I hope you can see, this is the compacted area which is known as the selvage. The selvage is the ending to the fabric and it's where the yarns are very, very tightly packed. So here is the selvage. I'm going to cut the length across the selvage. So length we decided was 22 inches. Going to make a little notch over here. And breadth is going to be 14.5 inches. So just from here itself, I hope you all can see, 14.5. Now here comes the fun part of draping. I want you to imagine your worst enemy or someone who's been giving you a hard time, or even think about the frustration of being quarantined indoors and take it all out on your fabric. And I promise this is the only time you can, because muslin is in that respect a very hardy fabric. So we're just going to tear. Just going to tear this piece, okay? And this gives you your fabric which is ready for your basic bodice, okay? Now I took the liberty of cutting another piece and ironing it and keeping it ready. But I do want to sort of show you all the correct technique of ironing. So just give me a minute. Just going to settle things here. And I'm going to put on my iron. So you're going to, I'm sure you all have something similar akin to this at home. You're just going to put it on the highest cotton linen and we're going to let that sort of heat up over there for a minute. In the meantime, we are going to block our fabric. Now, again, we know that having straight grain is very important. We know that a different grain affects the way a fabric falls. So, if you had planned it on a straight grain and it's going off, the garment will just not hang properly. If there's a print, then the print will sort of dip down. So we need to make sure that our fabric is blocked so that all the grains are settled in place. And this is the second part of second fun part of draping, where you take out your aggressions, where again we pull the fabric, yank it on bias, and then just for good measure, we just yank it on bias again, but from the opposite side. What this does is basically settle the grains so that the grains basically shift and they are nicely perpendicular to each other. So you can kind of bend down and have a good look and see if the grains are very crooked, then you pull them in the direction that they need to be adjusted to. and hopefully you have a nice blocked piece of fabric. And comes the fun part, which is ironing. It's my personal favorite. Hate to do it at home with these irons. Love to do it in college with our industrial steam iron. So ironing is really therapeutic, and if you do it right, it's like is it called ASMR, or it's like those ASMR videos for me because it's deeply satisfying. What I want you to do is think about how you iron your clothes if you do iron them at all. And I know that a lot of students are watching TV and their irons going all over the place. That's so not how to iron your fabric. Now, if you spend all that time blocking your muslin and getting the grains right, then you have to be true to your fabric and iron it correctly as well. What we do in order to get good ironing is that we move the iron, so you're exerting pressure with your wrist, and we move the iron in one direction. Of course, if I had steam, this would be a different ball game altogether. It would be beautiful. Don't have steam right now, but I want you to understand the motion basically. Be sure not to burn yourselves, guys. I have done that many times. And if you're so my this iron doesn't react well with steam, but if you have a steam function on your iron, please do utilize it really well and iron away. So once I've got this kind of pressing down motion and I have nicely flattened my my fabric, you should be ironing it so well. Again, may not happen at home, but the edges, you know that muslin has been ironed well when the edges start curling up, and I call it paper dosa. It starts looking like a paper dosa. So once that is done, I got a little scorch mark here, but I'm going to go back to the piece that I had prepared for you all. And this is the other thing I want to tell you guys, the importance of ironing. Just iron, 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 and iron again. When I was in NIFT and when I was teaching at the other institutes as well, I would tell my students to iron at every intermediate step. Just, the way a garment responds, or the way your stitches fall, or the way the seam falls when you iron it enough times, it's completely different. So don't skimp on the ironing, have the iron ready. So it helps if you have like a small workstation. If your iron is in mom's room, you're working in your room, you're not gonna iron. So get a little fabric pad or your ironing board or a little table. I know it's not easy, but one can always hope. So my ironing is done. Switch it off, please. We don't want fires igniting. And put your iron down. And there you go. You have your fabric blocked and ready for draping. I'm going to take a little pause here. I want you guys to hopefully measure your dress forms. We can discuss the amount of length and breadth that you will need, and rip out your fabric, block it and iron it, and I will see you on the other side. Welcome back. I hope we have cut our fabric, we have blocked it, and we have ironed it, and we're all set to do our markings for the basic borders. So with basic borders, what we need to mark is the center front line and the bust level line. Now, a word of warning to all of you, if I don't see the bust level line marked on your bodice, I will be very trigger happy with myself and I will cut your bodice into two pieces. Okay, you have to mark your bust level line on your bodice. Why? The easiest analogy I can give you is if you think of a a skeleton. Okay, can you imagine your body without your spinal column or your rib cage? You would be a floppy mess. The same way, a basic bodice, the center front line acts as the spine, and the bust level line acts as the rib cage. Practically speaking, if you want to take it further, understand the role of a draping specialist. Now, you're not just going to drape random stuff every time. Sometimes you are going to have very structured draped garments, and that is the mistake that I think a lot of people make, where they think that draping means very flowy stuff or a lot of ruching, and that's not always the case. Sometimes the best fitted garments are always draped. Now, supposing you've draped a really fitted jacket, right? As a draping specialist or as a draper, your work is done. You've draped it, you've translated the muslin pattern onto brown paper, and you have given it to the master. Now, the master, or maybe the cutter, the pattern cutter, um, is working on a fabric which is, say, checks. All right. Now, you have not marked out any grain lines. You have not marked the bust level line out on your pattern. That means that the master, if I have a piece of paper to show you, all right, if this is your pattern, now it's supposed to fall like this. Now imagine that there are checks, right? So the checks, obviously you're going to wear something with straight checks unless you put them on bias or designed it that way. So you want a t-shirt with checks, and you want the checks to fall absolutely straight. If you don't mark the grain line, the bust level line, and the center front line, what's going to happen is basically you're telling the pattern master, just put it anywhere you want. So the pattern master, instead of putting it straight on the fabric, your pattern, can put it like this or can put it like this, because he has absolutely no reference points to work off of. So it's very important, hence, that just kind of learn it like your Bible, that you need to have the center front and the bust level line always marked on any torso bodice. So giving you all that information, the first thing we're going to do is mark the center front line on your fabric. Um, Again, give me a minute. I'm just going to bring the camera down. Alrighty. So hopefully you are at this stage as well where your fabric is ironed and everything is blocked and you have a nice sort of flat surface to work off of. And the first thing that we of course want to do is put down our center front line. Now we never start draping right from the selvage. As I mentioned to you in the earlier class, the selvage is where the yarns are more tightly packed, and hence the selvage area, it's if you can see over here, the yarns kind of dip towards the selvage. So the first 1 inch away from the selvage we don't think it's good enough quality. You have to excuse my ruler. I have ordered a new one. It should be coming in anytime um, soon. Till then I have my son's ruler, which has seen better days in its life. So what I'm doing now, guys, is from the 1 inch selvage mark, from the selvage mark, I'm just marking a 1 inch line. I'm going to be using a fabric marker. I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to be using a fabric marker for this purpose. I hate using anything but pencil on drapes, but because I have to video record this, I have to use a fabric marker. So I hope the draping gods forgive me. But here we go. So I've already made 3 lines, 3 dots for my 1 inch center front line, and I'm just going to connect the dots. And here I'm going to just label it, and I'm going to write center front. While I'm here, I'm also just going to draw a grain line so that whoever I pass my pattern on to knows that this is the straight grain. I hope the lines are visible to all of you. Now, I'm not sure if you've learned this in pattern making or no, but we always put these little arrows at the edges which indicate that this has to be cut on fold. Uh, I hope you guys know what on fold means. If not, when I'm on the dress form, I will explain it to you. So I'm just writing on fold. Remember that whatever you do on your fabric acts as a map, right, for the person who is eventually going to cut it on the final fabric. So if you are a good map maker, you will have all the instructions written down, and I will get to that towards the end of this demonstration. So now what I'm going to do is just fold on my center front line, because we don't want to see the selvage, neither do we want a ugly raw edge. And one thing that I really want to specify, guys, is that with draping, one is you need to have very clean hands, which I think is kind of a no-brainer with Corona. But also you need to really, really be gentle with your hands. So I find sometimes students are very aggressive with the muslin. You have to treat it like a baby. Okay, it's your little baby. The more you push and pull, the fabric is not going to like you, and it's going to trouble you later. So gently just press down on the center front line. Again, me being my OCD self, I will recommend that you iron it. I'm not doing that now for sake of expediency. And what I'm going to do now is take this fabric up to the dress form, so that I get an indication of where I need to mark my bust level line. So just give me a minute while we bring the camera up to the dress form. So I've brought this here to the dress form, and there are a few things that I want to make sure of before I move to the next step. The first and foremost thing is that I should have enough fabric on top, okay, so that I can cover this high neck point, right? So always sort of check when you're placing your fabric that you have enough that you can cover your neck point, and there should be another half inch on top of that. So if you can see over here, then this is my neck point. I'll just put a little pin there so you understand. So this is my neck point. I've chosen a white pin. I don't think that helps. 1 minute. I've got a nice green pin. I'm pinning on my neck point. So right now I've just placed the fabric, so I know that even after the neck point, I have approx another 1 inch, at least 1 inch post the neck point, and I have enough to cover my shoulder. Once that is done, I just want you to place the muslin, align it with center front. It doesn't have to be super perfect right now. And then remember, we marked the apex point in the last class. So I just want you to take your pencil, and wherever your apex point is, I just want you to put a small dot. This is indicating where our bust level line is going to fall. So once that is done, once we have marked the bust level line, the apex point, I'm going to take this off, put it on the table, and put in the lines for the bust level line. So bear with me 1 minute. Please shift the camera back down. Okay. So we have our uh, lines down for center front. We have put down the line for grain line. We've indicated to our pattern master that we want to cut it on fold, and we have made a small point, little prick point for the apex point. Ideally, guys, you should do this with an L scale. My L scale is in college right now, and I'm not feeling great about this. But basically, the line, the bust level line that you draw, should be absolutely parallel, sorry, absolutely perpendicular to your center front line. And I'm just going to label this my bust level line. So repeating to you guys, have a look. I got my center front down. I kept it 1 inch away from the selvage, and then I marked my center front. I folded that 1 inch inside because we don't want nasty selvage on our draping. From that center front point, I just went in around 2 inches. It's really up to you, and I made the grain line. That's really important as well. And I wrote the instructions for the pattern master that this has to be cut on fold. Then I took this back to the dress form. I placed it such that there is enough space from the top to cover the neck point and the shoulder area. And then I placed it against the dress form and figured out where the apex point was. The apex point was here. So through that apex point, I drew a squared line across, which is my bust level line. Again, I'm going to pause here and give you guys time to sort of put all of that together. Back again. So hopefully you have all your markings done like this. If you're good kids, then you would have ironed it once more like I have. Now we are going to go about placing the fabric on the dress form. So another thing that I will suggest is just have some pins handy so that you don't have to kind of, you know, cast around for them, which is what I do most of the time, end up doing. And we start pinning. So guys, the center front line has to come on the center front style tape. So first thing I'm going to do is secure the center front neck. That's the first pin we should be putting in, which is the center front neck. And then what you can do is put the next pin in, which is the center front waist, all the while making sure that your style tape for bust level line is showing through your muslin and it is perfectly aligned with the line that you have made for the bust level line. Remember to pin against the grain, so you're locking the pin. In case you don't know what that is, it means that we don't pin this way. We, whichever the grain is, we put the pin in like this and then turn it and pin. What that does is it locks the fabric in place. Okay, so I've got one pin here and one at neck point. 1 minute. And now the first thing I'm going to do is make sure that my bust level line is pinned and it is absolutely matching to my bust level line that I've pinned on the dress form. So before you do that, before you start pinning, you can just do a spot check and make sure that this has not shifted in the time being. A lot of times if you don't pin it well enough or it's a little bit loose, then it tends to wander up and down. So just do a spot check to make sure that the bust level line is fitting properly and it is straight. And I'm just going to mark it, and again, great feeling of satisfaction when everything kind of lines up and is very orderly. And I'm going to just pin on side seam at the bust level line. So now my bodice is perfectly anchored, right? I have it anchored here, I have it anchored here and here. So it's not shifting anywhere. Before I move on to contouring the neck and the armhole area, I do want to kind of make out or tell you about a point that a lot of girls in our class, you may have observed, you know, when you wear a shirt, like a button down shirt, and you find just at the bust area the buttons are gaping open and you end up putting a safety pin there, right? Because it's kind of gaping open. That's because most commercially made garments, they don't accommodate the gap between the bust and they're not cut like that. Because draping is a more fine-tuned couture technique of creating garments rather than, you know, mass market cutting, we do accommodate the gap. And how do we do that? We always make sure that this part is never flat. Okay, it should be raised enough that I can put a pencil in here and the pencil stands without my help. So if the pencil is flopping around, if the pencil slips down, that means you've left too much ease. If you can't squeeze the pencil in there, that means you've not left enough ease. So there should be a pencil width of gap. If you're scared that you will not remember, then what you can do is insert the pencil and then just pin above and below, so that pencil width of gap is there. I'm just going to check because I can't see the front and make sure everything's straight and okay. So another thing is that you have to also kind of decide which part of the tape you're aligning your line with. So for example, I have a 1/4 inch tape and I have aligned my line with the bottom edge of the tape. Um, Again, just simple logic. If at the beginning you've aligned it with the bottom edge and then while you turn it, you've kind of got to the top edge of the tape, means that you're going off grain by approximately 4 to 5 millimeters, which is not a crime when it comes to a fabric which is plain like muslin, but it is really, really suicidal when it comes to something which is printed. Okay, so make sure that the bust level line is straight. Now what you will find is that you have this kind of excess over here and you have all this kind of excess over here. These are going to be formulated into or converted into darts. So this part is pretty easy. What I want you to do is use the backs of your fingers and I want you to smooth down on the side seam. Don't harass the fabric, don't pull it here or there. Just smooth down with the backs of your fingers, and wherever you feel the waistline and side seam intersection, I want you to put it down, put a pin over there. And similarly, I want you to just, again, using the back of your hand, smooth up and bring it to the underarm and side seam intersection, and I want you to just put a pin there. Easy? This is just your side seam that you've marked down. Why do we do this? The minute we constrict the fabric and we basically hold the fabric down from both edges, we know exactly how much intake is going to go into the dart. For example, if I had taken this pin out and I had formed the dart beforehand, I would be taking a lot more than is required and then again be going off grain unnecessarily. So it's always, whenever you make a dart, remember that the two sides of the dart, the two edges of fabric around the dart should always be constricted. Get my pen. Okay, here you go. So I have this ready to make a dart and this part is also ready to make a dart. Okay, so we'll start with the waist dart first. Now we're going to follow a method which is known as pin and slash. Again, very good tool in draping. You just pin, alright, and you slash up till the pin. Don't be afraid of slashing. As long as you don't slash past the stitching line, you're golden. Okay, so pin and then, hope you all can see, you pin and then place another pin approximately half an inch away from the first pin, and then you take your scissor and you slash right up till that pin point. Very important thing to learn is not to slash, uh, not to hold your scissor diagonally while slashing, but to slash straight up. Again, I'm just going to keep pinning and slashing till I reach the princess line dart area. And if you see, it just starts coming together beautifully, the dart formation. I'm going to have to step in front for a minute or turn this actually. Now we all know that our darts start on the princess line and they always vanish towards the bust point. So I'm just going to accumulate or gather all the fabric again with tips of fingers. I'm not pulling, I'm not stretching. With the tips of my fingers, I'm going to gather the fabric excess. And for now, I'm just going to pin together the arms or the legs of the dart like this. I'll turn the dress form so you can have a look. And I'm going to put like a small little pin here which indicates the end vanishing point of my dart. So have a look from the side. Is it visible? I hope. How I've pinned. I've just pinned together the excess over here, and I put a small pin here, horizontally, to indicate where the dart's vanishing point is. So easy. This was easy. Sometimes what we do is we can add a little pinch of excess at the waist, just for movement. So you can just take your muslin and sort of create a little pinch over here. Can do, cannot do, it's entirely up to you. As long as there is some ease, we don't want it to be skin tight. After all, it's not a knit fabric, it's a woven. So don't sweat too much about the ease, but then don't pull it too tight. Also make sure that you don't have any pulls or any sort of ugly gathers happening. It should be a nice straight fall without being skin tight. I'm just going to put another pin on the side seam. Now I'm satisfied with the front part of the torso. I'm going to put another pin on the side seam and I'm just going to slash again using pin and slash horizontally till the side seam. Again guys, you can slash right up till the pin as long as you don't slash past the stitching line. Understand that draping is a rough toile, right? It's your toile. So even if you have slashes into the seam allowance, it's okay, you're good. As long as you don't go past the stitching line, it's fine. So this part is done, this part is done. Now I'm left with the neck, shoulder and armhole. Um, Neck, I'm trying to do it in such a way that it's visible to you all. Now can you see that there is a pull over here? So again our pin and slash method is utilized. Um, this time what you're going to do is hold your scissor like this and you're going to slash from top to bottom. Okay. A lot of students really get scared with this and a lot of them make this mistake. So many years I've been teaching and students always make this mistake. When you are slashing like this. Your scissor is straight like a line, right? Your scissor is not like this. Your scissor is absolutely parallel to center front. So when I pin, I'm going to slash right up to the pin, put the scissor down, use my fingertips, smooth across. I can feel the neck ridge. I'm going to put in the next pin. Now the minute I put this pin, can you see this little pull, this little friction or tension that is there? That is why we slash, to release the tension. But we do not slash like this. We slash like this. Okay? We slash parallel to the center front. A lot of times, I don't know why students will not slash at the neck. They'll just pin it and stretch the muslin and it looks so tacky and it's very obvious that you have not slashed enough to release the tension. In draping, nothing should look tight or forced. It should never look forced. It should look effortless and beautiful and it should fit beautifully. So my last pin, I have reached my neck point. Again, can you see this little pull? Imagine wearing this, it would be so uncomfortable on your neck. Again, my scissor is not going diagonal. I can't stress this enough. My scissor is parallel to center front and I'm going to slash down. Little short on fabric here, but we can make it work, not a problem. and I'm just trimming away the top. So here is my neckline. I've kept nice 1.5 inches on top because I want to have enough for truing. I've draped the neckline. Now I have to drape the shoulder part of the area. But remember, we have all this excess and we don't know what to do with it. So the same pin and slash method that we used on the neck is what we are going to employ at the armhole part of it. So I'm going to turn my friend here and I'm going to first slash because I don't know how to work with this. I have all this fabric and I just don't know what to do with it. So first thing I'm going to do is slash it a little bit so that I have access. Don't slash the dummy, guys. And I'm going to, so I could start this way, right? I could start from the armhole and go down, but what I'm trying to do is push all this excess so that I can make a dart. Okay, so I've slashed here and now I'm going to, hope you can see again, I'm going to put another pin approximately 1/2 inch away and I'm going to slash. In the armhole, we don't slash perpendicular, sorry again, we don't slash parallel to the center front, but we kind of slash in a way that we can just reach the pin. College draping lab, we were just flinging the muslin bits all around here. I have to sweep the house myself, so I'm saving them on the table. If you love your moms, you will do that too. So again, we keep pinning 1/2 inch away, 1 inch away, and then we see that there is resultant tension, and to release that tension, we slash up till the pin. You can slash up till the pin, guys, as long as it doesn't go past the stitching line. You need a good sharp fabric scissor. Please don't use paper scissors. Don't lend them to anybody. Don't give your dog a haircut with them. Your fabric scissors are like, I don't know, like Michelangelo's brush. Okay, I'm sure he didn't lend them out. They have to be super sharp. Your fabric, when you cut it, should have nice, neat edges. It should not look like you ripped it with your teeth. So make sure that your scissor is always on point, always sharp. If it's not sharp, go get another one, honestly. Um, and here comes the crucial part. This is again the underarm. So here I'm going to get a little bit of pull. So I have to manipulate it a little bit. And this I want to explain to you that I'm literally a contortionist. But I want to explain to you that these dress forms that we have, these dress forms are extremely contoured. So in a human body, you will not have this much of an in curve into your dress form. So if you get this kind of little pull over here, it's fine, because again in a human, one is you're never going to wear an armhole or a top where it is pinned into your armhole. It's going to fall loose naturally like this. So don't sweat it if you get a pull or two over here. It's partly because of the dummy and partly because human bodies are not like that to begin with. And see what happens now. All this fabric is kind of freed up for me to make my dart. So I'm not going to take loads of it because I don't want a big fat dart over here. I'm just going to kind of place it in a way that it falls naturally. And that is really up to your judgment. And done. We're done with the armhole. Because I've pinned all the way up to the shoulder. If the extra fabric bits are bothering you, you can chop them off. Just remember to keep quite a bit extra because you will need it in the truing part of it. Now, where have we reached? We've done the beautiful part. We're very happy. Everything is sitting well. Upper part, not that happy. Things are kind of puckered. We don't know what's happening. Neck is looking good. Underarm kind of messy. That's because we need to sort of pull the fabric up and make a dart over here. So again, remember that your dart has to fall exactly on princess line. Again, remember guys, we're not making a sari blouse. So it doesn't have to be super tight and fitted and clingy. Neither is the next Miss World going to wear this. It should be comfortable. And that's, I think, an element of fashion that is very important, which is the comfort fashion, the comfort aspect of fashion. So don't try to pull the dart too much or make it so tight that after you stitch it, you're squeezing the body into it. So basically I formed the dart, and now I'm finding that my shoulder is also sitting well. And what happens often after forming the dart is that you kind of relook at your armhole and you may feel that you want to adjust it here and there a little bit. So that's fine. What you can do is just open up a couple of pins and let the fabric breathe a little bit. As I said, this dress form is extremely contoured. So you can let the fabric breathe a little bit over here, and you may get a little bit of excess in this area. Leave it. Don't try to pinch another dart here, because again we are not doing a sari blouse, guys. We're doing a top or torso block. So you can leave that little part. In fact, in draping, this term, this little area is known as boxing. Boxing. I don't know why. Probably because it looks like a box, but it's known as boxing. So if you do have some boxing here, it's fine. It shouldn't be that much that it looks like a dart that's begging to be sewn and you're just too lazy to do it. But if it's like a natural progression, it's fine. If you're not happy with it still, there's nothing to stop you. What you can do is yank out your pins again and open up your dart and shift a little bit more excess into the dart, and you can do it that way. Personally, I don't like something very fitted at the armhole, so I'm going to leave it a little bit loose, a little bit comfortable. Should be able to have good movement here. And there you go. We're done. Not bad for a day's work. I am now just reaching towards the end of the draping part of this demonstration, which involves putting down the markings. So you've draped it, you photographed it, you're very happy with your work. You still need to mark it so that whichever person is making the pattern out of this or is cutting the final fabric out of this knows what to do. So we'll start with the easy part first, which is the waist. So you can just dot mark. Again, choose whether you're working with the top of the band or the lower half of the band or the middle of the band, and just dot mark that. I'm going to mark the dot. I'm going to mark the dart leg. And I'm going to mark the dart vanishing point. Okay. I'm marking the side seam. Please keep feeling it with your finger and marking. I'm marking the underarm point, and I'm just going to write over there underarm, and here I'm going to write side seam. I'm marking dot marking, just dot mark for now guys, because these markings will change once you do. So I'm dot marking the armhole, I'm dot marking the shoulder. Since I'm vertically challenged, it's a little bit hard for me to see the shoulder part. And I'm dot marking the dart. me check once if I marked everything. Yeah, looks good. This is it, guys. This is the draping of the basic dress form. I think what I am going to do is take a couple of close-up photographs of this, just so that you know how it looks up close, because I'm not really sure how much is being picked up in the camera part of it. So I will do that for sure, and share it with you in the class. But this is it. Uh, Good luck, and I will see you in the next session, which is when we true the bodice. Truing basically means all these little dots, these pretty dots that you made, we connect the dots. So the next session will be truing. Till then, I want you to practice draping. Don't worry, it's actually a lot of fun. Play good music, have fun with it. It's my favorite subject, has been for the past many years. I will not tell you how many years, because then you know how old I am. But I love it, and I think you will too. So get started. Let's get our fabric on the dress form and see where it takes us. I'll see you for the next session, guys. Bye.